Hey everyone, welcome back. Ever feel like trying to learn something new is just daunting? Like you need some kind of hidden talent to even give it a shot.
It's a really common feeling.
Yeah, like, am I right? But get this. The book we're diving into today, Learning New Skills is Easy, actually. It totally flipped the script for me.
Oh, interesting.
All about strategy over this born geniuses stuff.
I like it already.
Right. So first thing that jumped out, they hit you with this 20-hour rule right off the bat.
Okay, I'm intrigued. 20 hours to do what exactly?
That's the thing. They're saying you can get good, surprisingly good, at basically anything in just 20 hours of focused practice.
Now, hold on, 20 hours. That almost sounds too
I
long.
know, my thoughts exactly. I was super skeptical.
Yeah, we're kind of conditioned to think like mastering something. That takes years, right?
Years of dedication, yeah.
Exactly. But this book, Learning New Skills, is easy, actually. It breaks down how it's totally possible, and it actually makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so break it down for us. How does this whole 20-hour thing even work?
It's about focused effort, for one, and this idea of breaking down skills into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Manageable chunks. Okay.
Right. Instead of looking at the whole mountain, you're focusing on, like, the next step in front of you.
So you're saying it's not about just sitting there for 20 hours, like clocking in and out.
Exactly. It's about how you use those hours that really matters.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So let's say I'm all in on this 20-hour idea.
Yeah.
Where do I even begin?
Well, the book talks about this cool concept they call the spike method, which I think is really helpful.
The spike method. Okay.
Yeah.
Lay it on us.
So instead of being kind of scattered, trying to learn a little bit of everything, it's about picking one thing
One thing
and really going all in on it, becoming really good at that one thing.
Okay, becoming the master of that one thing. So you're saying it's about like depth over breadth.
Exactly. It's about those early wins, even if they're small, because they give you the confidence, the momentum to tackle bigger challenges later on.
I can get behind that. Small wins leading to bigger and better things.
That's it. And this ties into another point the book makes, actually, about this whole myth of natural talent.
Oh yeah, the they were born with it thing. I've always been a little skeptical of that one.
Yeah, and for good reason.
It can be pretty demotivating too, right?
Right.
Like why even bother? But if it's not about being born a Mozart or Einstein, what's the real story?
It's about our brains, right? Our brains are amazing. They're incredibly adaptable.
Okay, adaptable meaning.
Meaning, every time we practice something, whether it's playing an instrument or speaking a new language, we're literally changing our brains.
Hold on, changing our brains. Sounds serious.
In a good way. We're strengthening connections between neurons, which are these tiny cells in our brains. It's like building a mental muscle.
Oh, like when you lift weights and your muscles grow.
Exactly. So the more we practice, the stronger those connections get. It's like learning to ride a bike.
Yeah, I can see that. At first you're wobbly, you might fall a few times, but
Right. But eventually those neural pathways, those connections become super highways of like smooth riding.
love that analogy.
Huh.
So we're practicing building those neural pathways, but how do we actually make it stick long term? Because
Yeah.
we've all had those moments where we learn something and then poof,
Yeah.
it's gone.
Right. It's like it just evaporates.
Totally. So how do we make it stick?
Well, the book talks about something called spaced repetition, and honestly, this is where things get really interesting.
Spaced repetition. Sounds spacey. What's that all about?
It's about working with how our brains naturally learn best rather than against them. Have you ever seen that game show Jeopardy?
Oh yeah, love Jeopardy.
So apparently those contestants, they actually use a form of spaced repetition to learn all those obscure facts.
No way. So it's like a secret weapon for memory.
Kind of. Basically, the idea is that instead of cramming all at once, you revisit information at different intervals, and this helps move that information from short-term to long-term memory.
Interesting.
It's like building a mental filing system, right? So instead of just having a messy desk where everything gets lost, you're creating these folders and organizing the information so you can easily find it later.
Oh, that's a great way to think about it.
Uh.
So how do we do it? What are some practical ways to incorporate this spaced repetition thing?
The book mentions a bunch of different methods. You've got your classic flashcards.
Flashcards. Classic for a reason, I guess.
Right. There are also a bunch of apps out there. Anki's one they specifically mention.
Anki got it.
Anything else?
Honestly. Even just setting reminders on your phone can be super helpful. Okay, so we're being strategic, we're spacing things out, but honestly, all this talk about flashcards and reminders, it doesn't exactly sound like the most, thrilling way to learn.
Right, like who wants to just be stuck with flashcards all day? The book talks about this too. They get into this whole idea of gamifying the process.
Oh, I like where this is going. Gamifying, like making it fun.
Exactly. Think about it. Why do you think those language learning apps like Duolingo are so popular?
Oh, because they're addicting. I'll admit I'm a sucker for those streaks.
Exactly. They use those points, rewards, even a bit of friendly competition to like tack into our brain's reward systems.
It's true. Those little badges, they really do keep you going. It's like, come on, just one more lesson.
Right. And honestly, you can use that same kind of thinking for any skill.
So how do we do it? How do we bring the fun to, say, learning how to code or something?
Well, you can set mini goals for yourself.
Hmm?
And when you hit those goals, you get a little reward.
Nice. Little reward system for your brain.
Right. Maybe you team up with a friend who's also trying to learn something new.
A little accountability, buddy. I like it. This is making a lot of sense. But there's like one more thing that really resonated with me from this book.
What's that?
It's that they're really big on knowing your why. Like, why are you even trying to learn this new thing in the first place?
Oh, absolutely. That's huge. They actually talk about that a lot, and learning new skills is easy, actually.
It's got to be more than just, oh, this might be useful someday.
Right. Because when things get tough, and they inevitably will, it's that deeper purpose that's going to keep you going.
Your why becomes the fuel, especially when you want to give up.
Exactly. It's the difference between like just dipping your toes in the water and fully committing to the deep dive.
Love that, committing to the deep dive. Speaking of which, we've covered so much ground today.
Yeah.
What's the big takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with from learning new skills is easy, actually? What's that one thing you hope they really remember?
I think the most important thing is that learning new skills, it's not some magical ability that some people are just born with.
It's within reach for everyone.
It really is. It's about having the right strategies, being willing to put in the work, and most importantly, believing in yourself.
Believing you can actually do it.
Exactly. Because when you believe you can learn and grow, you open up a whole world of possibilities.
I love that. It's so empowering. So for everyone listening, here's a little challenge inspired by our deep dive today.
Okay.
Remember that spike method we were talking about?
Find that one thing to really excel at.
Exactly. What's one skill, even something small, that you want to be known for? Pick that skill and commit those 20 focused hours. Trust the process, see what happens. You might just surprise yourself.
I love that challenge. 20 hours, that's all it takes to get started.
Exactly. Now go out there and make it happen.